Speedway, the virtual version of Daytona International Speedway, and not the high banks today, but the road course in the infield, 3.61 miles. I'm your host, Steve Letarte from NBC Sports, and helping me today, my co-host / analyst / driving expert, Regan Smith from Fox Sports. Regan, thanks for helping me out on this.
Steve, all I know is please use that driving expert term very loosely for this tonight. I'm excited about seeing this racetrack and seeing these drivers on this racetrack, but I got to tell you something, 3.6 miles. I don't know if I'm even going to remember what turn we're in as we're talking about this stuff.
I won't lie, I got my cheat sheet in front of me. There's 14 corners. I'm going to get them all labeled incorrectly. I have my pen out because I'm going to have to cover some racing this weekend from Daytona. So this is not just a happy hour and a practice session for 3 of NASCAR's stars, but it's a practice session for me as well. Those stars, we're going to have William Byron from the Cup Series with his crew chief, Chad Canals, trying to figure out their 24 Chevrolet to see how great it drives. We got Chase Briscoe, Mr. Xfinity Series, 5 wins on the season. He's having a great year. He's going to be out there as well. And I call him Mr. iRacing because he's so good in iRacing, and that's Ty Majeski in the trucks. Regan, I went and tried to run some laps. I failed miserably. How's your experience been so far on the road course at Daytona?
Well, Steve, I don't think that my experience has been much better than yours. I know the lap times that I'm seeing right now that we saw early on in this practice session, I was nowhere near any of that. A challenging road course, really. And I think when you look at it on paper, you'd say, hey, it's not terrible. This is maybe a little more simple than a lot of places we go. Couldn't be further from the truth. Excited to see what these guys have. And I heard a common theme of all the drivers that you just named right there. A lot of iRacing experience and a lot of guys that could have an upper hand this weekend based on their iRacing experience and their ability to understand what their real vehicle is going to feel like compared to the iRacing vehicle when they get out there on the track. A great comparison for these guys.
Well, it's going to be a fun hour with 2 real goals. The first goal is to kind of pull the curtain back a little bit, show you how these drivers work with their crew chiefs to help them along. Each of them has what I consider an iRacing professional driver from the Coca-Cola series. We'll be helping them through adjustments, trying to help them through the iRacing setups. There's also going to be some bragging rights because we know race car drivers just can't go practice without a little ego on the line. So a time attack. For the last few days, iRacing has had this up, and the iRacing community has had the opportunity to go out, open setup, change the setup all they want, and put down the absolute best time for both the Cup, the Xfinity, and the truck. That is really the bogey. That's the target for these drivers tonight. Whichever of these 3 drivers get closest to their time, they're going to get $3,000 for their favorite charity. Second's going to get $2,000, and third is going to get $1,000. And Regan, I'm going to tell you, these are some impressive times. Garrett Lowe, who's a Coca-Cola professional driver, he knows what he's doing. He ran a 1:46.889, so almost a 1:47. I am at least 15 seconds off that. And rumor is William Byron has some catching up to do to run that speed.
I was sweating in my simulator today, and I know I was about 11 seconds off of that. So we'll have to see what William Byron's got. That's going to actually be exciting to see if he can catch that. As good as William is at iRacing, I think maybe he can get there. We'll see.
All right, well, we mentioned it's 1 hour, and we got the clock. This is happy hour. I've lived it my whole life. You only get an hour. You can't mess around. You got to figure something out, get out there on the track, make some laps. So the clock's been started. You see it on your screen right there, 59 seconds and change. Now, these drivers had to have the opportunity to practice, and I won't lie, as you and I were doing some of our rehearsals, they were making a lot of laps. So this is not going to be new to them. But Regan, take me through the preparation. We're going to see all 3 series hit the road course at Daytona, a track that we have seen racing on for a long time. The Rolex has run there, the 24-hour race since 1966, but never have we seen stock cars. How are these guys using this track to prepare for this weekend?
Well, there's a lot of things that these drivers are going to use, Steve, and I think the biggest thing is going to be to get reference points, to understand where they're at on the track, maybe where their gearing is going to have to be at. And that could be a little bit different for them depending on what their teams in their actual series decide to go with for transmission ratios. But every other element is so real in the game. You can feel the bumps of the racetrack. You know where maybe you're going to have a difficult braking zone. Maybe you want a different angle to the corner. I've already noticed some angles as we see William Byron going through turns 13 and 14, the turn 4 chicane, as we'll call it. I've seen a lot of different angles as we've been watching tonight already that the drivers can attack that corner with, especially into turn 1 as well, where he's at right now. There's a number of different points that you can look for. I found myself in the game earlier aiming for the tire barrier on the inside to make sure I didn't miss the corner. And I got to say, out of about 11 laps an hour ago, I think I missed the corner 12 times, if that's possible. So a lot of little nuances that the drivers will pick up on. And, I think a rhythm is going to be the biggest key for them. Getting into a rhythm to where they can tell themselves when they get to the racetrack, either Saturday or Sunday, this is where I've got to focus on being, this is where I can make up time, and this is where I could lose some serious time.
Yeah, William Byron right there behind Chase Briscoe. 3 guys on 3 miles, and they're still only 3 car lengths apart. Something about race car drivers and traffic. Maybe the rabbit helps. So this right here is now they're exiting the infield section. This is turn 6, and you're going to recognize it now. There it is, the high banks of Daytona going into the oval turn 1 and 2. You're going to instantly see the power difference, 750 horsepower in the Cup cars. They're running full downforce and full horsepower. It's going to be obvious right here as William Byron roars down the backstretch into the bus stop. We've seen this in every Rolex, a great passing opportunity. And today when we talk time attack, it's a place to give up and lose a lot of time. Reminds me a lot of Watkins Glen, a quick left, a quick right. William Byron using a lot of grass. We'll have to see if iRacing penalizes them. Just like NASCAR, who says you can't cut the course, iRacing has a time give up. And basically, if you cut the course, if you don't run enough of the course, I know this because it happens to me every lap, basically they'll make you give time back. And then this, brand new, never seen before, the front stretch chicane added for the NASCAR race this weekend.
You know, something that's amazing to me is we've run how many laps on Daytona, and we know that turns 1 and 2 and turns 3 and 4 are exactly the same as what we've raced on for years as we go through there. As you see, William Byron looks like he's going to abort this lap now and come back to the pits. But as much as we've seen those corners in the cars, and we would think that should be similar, that should be the same for the drivers. We should understand and how that's going to feel when we go through there. When you exit and enter onto the track at a different location, it makes those corners feel completely different. It makes the marks that you're looking for completely different. I noticed that a couple years back when we first started running the Roval at Charlotte. Same thing happened with the corners there. It turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And it's identical in the game or in iRacing in the simulator here as what it is when you're in the car, that it just throws your peripherals and your entire perception of what's going on to a totally different element.
Chase Briscoe doing a nice job through that new chicane. On the top of the screen, you see Ty Majeski, 1:54.0. So Ty Majeski with his crew chief Phil Gold tonight. They have an iRacing expert, and he's a heck of an expert with 2 wins this season, leading the points in the iRacing Coca-Cola Series, drives for Denny Hamlin Racing. And Jumpman, Michael Jordan, Keegan Leahy is their iRacing expert. And I'm going to tell you, not only is he fast behind the wheel, but a lot of conversation about Keegan and how the setups he develops. So we'll see if he can help Ty improve his speed. He's at 1:54 currently. His target lap time is 1:51.1. So right now, we'll call it 3 seconds off, give or take a little bit. Not too bad with 55 minutes remaining. But Regan, we're also going to have a fun night following these 3 drivers with their engineers, crew chiefs, and iRacing help. We're also going to talk to the president of Daytona International Speedway, Chip Wild. We're going to have the executive vice president and executive producer of iRacing, Steve Myers, join us. We're going to learn a lot about what it takes to put a race on at the road course, and we're going to learn a lot from iRacing of what it took to put that chicane in that's only been around now for a little bit of time. We're also going to talk about all the different setups. You see William Byron there, standard, looks like a curved screen, racing steering wheel, gloves on. Some other guys run virtual reality. What's your cup of tea, Regan?
You know what? I'm like William Byron. I got a curved screen, and I don't know that I'd necessarily run the gloves when I'm in there, but from his standpoint, the gloves actually with your real steering wheel helps out a lot in the simulators. It helps out to just understand the feelings through the steering wheel. It changes it just a little bit, how you grip the wheel, what you feel when you do grip the wheel. And look, you can see the intensity right here. This is the amount of focus that it takes, not only Sunday when he's in his Cup car, but when he's in this iRacing car. You've got to have that same level of intensity to be able to turn the quick lap times. And just a little lift right there. Steve, we've talked about this corner going into the second horseshoe right here. It is extremely challenging to make sure you can hit your marks getting into that corner. There is some rough spots on the racetrack right there. And put the power down. You hear him trying to get through the gears as he's getting ready to enter back onto the main part of the racetrack. I love, but we've got another image on our screens of Chad Knaus, and Chad Knaus is tuned into this. He is absolutely focused on what's going on. We saw him a couple times get frustrated. You said just like typical Chad Knaus, just like we've all known for the years. If it doesn't go perfect, he wants it to be perfect the next time out there, and certainly looks like Williams on a pretty decent lap right now.
It does look like a good lap, and there's a basic, as you see the running order through the bus stop. You got about a minute of the infield. It's slower. Rear grip is definitely an issue in the infield, and then you climb on the high banks. And speaking of grip, it seems like the 98 of Briscoe had a little moment there. You know what I love about iRacing? That right there. When I send my son off in there, it costs me nothing for him to hit escape. When he goes and wrecks in real life, that sounds pretty expensive. So I'm a big fan of iRacing. Now we're seeing Ty Majeski in the truck. Ty with so much iRacing experience. When you see him racing in real life, you see iRacing a lot on his race cars. He's a great spokesman for the iRacing program, but also one of the best. Anytime I'm in a race or a practice and I see Ty jump in, I jump out. Regan, I want no part of what he has going on.
You know, my favorite part about Ty Majeski on iRacing is he actually runs with basically a laptop setup a lot of times. He can travel with his full iRacing rig and his full iRacing setup, steering wheel that he can carry with him anywhere that he goes. Maybe it's a hotel room. It looks like he's at home right now, but a completely different setup. And that's the beauty of this simulation is, man, we talked about it when we were doing all the stuff on Fox and things like that, that you can have a $50,000 setup, or you can have a $250 setup. And there we see it on the screen right now. He is on a laptop and the steering wheel is attached to the desk, just like what you would do with an Xbox or anything else. It's a neat setup for him, and that's one of the all-time greats when it comes to iRacing and number of different wins, different series. And hey, you know what? Not too shabby on the racetrack either. When you look at the late model numbers that he's put up over the years. And as you mentioned, when he pops into an iRace, you know he's going to be a threat to win it. And if you've outrun him, you've had a great day.
As we see Chase Briscoe continuing a lap, we jumped in and we saw just a little bit of smoke earlier. Maybe we might get a look on see what happened to Chase. Looks like in one of the horseshoes. I'd love to tell you which one. I'm still learning the track as well.
And this is coming into the NASCAR turn one, basically, as you get ready to come up on the banking. And this is something we're going to see a lot of this weekend. Overshooting that corner, it drags you in. It makes you think you can get just a little bit more. And the exit of that corner is so wide, you think you can run your car out very, very wide right there. But there is no grip up there. That was the thing that shocked me the most, was how limited the grip is when you get up to that area of the racetrack. And I know a lot of these drivers are getting caught off guard by that from what we've seen so far when we've been watching and when we've been running as well.
Yeah, so Regan, we're going to have, as we see, about 10 minutes of practice already gone by. We see Ty Majeski, the only one with a completed lap time currently. As I mentioned, we're going to have the opportunity to talk to the president of Daytona International Speedway, a good friend of mine. I know he's a good friend of yours. He's been in the sports business a long time, former president of Darlington, and there he is, the man, Chip. Wild Chip. How about a virtual happy hour from your real racetrack, buddy?
I've been like glued to this, watching how they're getting out of turn 4 into that new chicane. It's crazy to see. And I think if it's this exciting on iRacing, I can't wait for the weekend to see the Arkman Art Series on in action on Friday, all the way through the Cup race on Sunday.
So you brought it up, a weekend full of racing with a bunch of different series, ARCA, Truck, Xfinity, Cup. Chip, I have questions about the road course, questions about how we got there, but while we're on that topic right now, let's talk about the fan situation. What opportunities do the fans have to visit your facility and watch some racing this weekend?
Yeah, we're going to open up the grandstands on Sunday, our brand new state-of-the-art facility. It's a great way for fans to come see the action. We're actually setting all the seats up in the road course area. So the west side of the facility will be open, all 4 levels, so you'll get a great view down through the infield road course, and then obviously all the way through the high banks. It's going to be an incredible weekend, an historic weekend for us. You think about where NASCAR started on the beaches of Daytona, and now we're running the road course. It's kind of a nice nod back to our roots. You know me, man, I'm a history buff when it comes to this sport, and certainly will take any opportunity to make sure we tell our story about it. But, man, it's going to be a great weekend. If anybody watching hasn't gotten their tickets yet, we have a limited number of tickets available this weekend. Start at $49. DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com. Go on and get them today.
So, Chip, I know we have a lot to cover, and I know you can't take us into all the back rooms. And Regan and I both want to know, how in the heck did we end up on the road course? I know we were supposed to run the Busch Clash there next year, but in this crazy pandemic, NASCAR doing such a great job of getting the season going, When did you finally get the heads up that, hey, Chip, we're coming to your place, but we're running the road course?
About 3 weeks ago, to be honest. We've been preparing. If you listen to your podcast that I was on this week, we started preparing for this in March, knowing that there was a possibility that we would run the road course. But, as the season played out, it looked as if we were going to continue down the path using all of our facilities. But that's the beauty of having 15 facilities that NASCAR owns, is that if one of our sister tracks can do something, one of the others can fill in. And it's going to be a wild weekend. No practice, no qualifying. The only opportunity they have to see the racetrack is on iRacing tonight. And I heard, actually, I think you were the one that told me earlier this week that Brad Keselowski's been on to iRacing more this week than he has all year.
Well, I don't blame him at all. Regan, you know this guy. Regan, you were victorious at Darlington Southern 500. He was the president at that time down at Darlington. What do you got for our buddy Chip?
Well, Chip, I'm excited about this weekend like you are, and Daytona's legendary. Anytime you go to Victory Lane at Daytona, it is a huge deal. I know these drivers are going to really be pushing hard this weekend because they want to get that first road course win. This is such a unique thing that we're doing this weekend down there at your racetrack. As we're watching these guys go around and hit the curbs and have a little bit of trouble figuring this racetrack out, are you getting any ideas on maybe where you need to put some more tire barriers or find some more runoff room or something? Because we're going to see the best in the world make some serious mistakes this weekend.
Well, I think we got all the tire barriers covered, but I was down today looking at that new chicane with those turtles, and we did change the color of them just to make sure they couldn't miss them coming off turn 4. That comes up on you so quick. You're coming off the corner at 160, 70 miles an hour, and that chicane just comes right at you. And so making sure that the drivers have a good vantage point. We actually even looked to add additional braking marks on the high banks, which is crazy. We're putting braking lines and braking marks on the fence in the middle of turns 3 and 4. But, it's going to be interesting to see where they have to start slowing down. We wear out the tires a little bit. It's going to be a little bit easier on new tires, but to make it even more exciting.
So can I assume by you saying you were out there on the racetrack that maybe you were making some laps, testing your skills just a little bit? Give us a little bit of what Chip. Wow, how fast did you get going in the rental car, or perhaps maybe the Daytona pace car?
I was actually painting the turtles. If you really want to know what I was doing on the racetrack today. They needed to get painted today, and I was the guy that they deemed that was the guy to do it. So, we've made a couple laps around at slow speeds, just looking at all the signage. It's amazing the amount of work that the team put in the last 3 weeks. When you think about it, 3.5 weeks ago, we didn't even know we were hosting this race, and it's not an easy transition. I mean, the actual racetrack transition is probably the easiest part, but getting signage up, making sure that all the things that people expect when they come to a road course, and that make sure it's ready, it takes time. And our guys have been working extremely hard, just certainly proud of the effort they put in. And it's going to pay off this weekend when we make history at Daytona.
Do you have any tricks up? I got to ask real quick. Do you have any tricks up your sleeve for the trophy, since it is the first time that this has happened? At Daytona, trophies are legendary. They're special trophies. What's this one going to look like? Give us a little hint.
Because we took the race from Watkins Glen because they couldn't host it, Corning Glass does an incredible trophy every year for Watkins. And so we commissioned a trophy from them, and they're going to be able to get it down here in time, which is going to be awesome. Handmade. It took hundreds of hours to design and build this thing. It's beautiful. And so we're really excited to be able to present that to the Cup Series winner on Sunday afternoon.
Took the race and took the trophy, Regan. He took both things. I like this. I like it. So, I have to ask you about a lot of conversation about the road course because it is going to be historic this weekend. But in basically 2 short weeks, we're coming back down to Daytona to end the regular season on the high banks. Quick turnaround. I know you're used to hosting a lot of big events, but a quick turnaround to see the Cup cars there so quickly.
Yeah, we better get better at it than 2 weeks because during Speed Weeks, presented by Advent Health, we're going to have to do it in 24 hours. But yeah, man, you talk about the Coke Zero Sugar 400. That's something that we're we've been talking about it for over a year, that it's moving from its traditional date to be the last race of the regular season. If you look at some of the names that are on the bubble right now, Jimmy Johnson being the notable one. It's going to be so interesting to see how he races the race. Is he going to stay out front? You and I talked about it this week again on your podcast. You said the only way to stay out of it is to stay up front. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how he and his team use strategy to do that all night and try to capture one of those playoff spots and try to race for a championship in his last full-time effort.
Well, Chip, I don't think we can thank you enough for taking your time coming on here. A little bit of virtual happy hour from the digital version of Daytona International Speedway. Chip Weil, the president. Thanks for joining us. Good luck this weekend. We're excited to see cars on the racetrack. If it's anything like what we've seen so far, I mean, William Byron doesn't even have a lap time up. You talk about a challenging racetrack. William Byron has yet to complete a time lap.
Chad's probably getting his notebook out. He's got to make a couple changes for him to get back out there.
Well, thanks for joining us, buddy. And yep, we get a little sneak peek at Chad and Regan. I think that's the next thing we're going to have to do. I know at some point we're going to catch up with Steve Myers from iRacing. We're going to have a discussion about how that new chicane got put into the season. But I'm going to tell you, I'm watching this races in Briscoe. He's at a minute 53. He's a couple seconds off. Majeski's a minute 54. He's about 3 seconds off. Still no time yet for the 24 car.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about that. And on the little screen that we have on the side that we can see, Chad is very intense right now, hand on his head. You can tell that he's talking to his driver, William Byron, trying to figure out where they need to get just a little bit better. He's been studying the different lines, and I've seen this from Chad on the pit box before a few times where he's kind of like, hey, what do we need next? Where do we need to go? And certainly you got to feel good about where Chase Briscoe is with this time right now, that maybe he can get down there and flirt with that minute 51.3 that he needs to get to. That's not a lot of time to make up on a road course, Steve. As you know, one mistake, you can gain or lose a lot of time based on one small mistake, as we see him smoking the left front tire, getting into turn one right there. Just something that simple can cost you time. And a good example as to how difficult it is to get the power down on this racetrack, as you see him sliding all over the place. That's something they're going to fight all weekend long.
All right, well, now we're going to take a look at William Byron right here. I mentioned no time on the board yet, heading down into turn one. Pretty good through turn one, pretty smooth. Now he's heading towards the International Horseshoe, 180-degree right-handers. We ride on board here. We can listen to the work. Easy on the throttle, now heading to that left-hand kink. Sports cars, this is flat out. Not flat out in the Cup car. Now we're to the West Horseshoe, another 180-degree corner.
And very unique to Daytona, you see that he entered to the right side of that West Horseshoe. Because of the way that they come off of that kink, it forces them over there to that side, and you can still make the corner. You can still make up time by going in low right there. And a difficult spot right here. Putting the power down, getting it up onto the banking. Lap's looking pretty smooth so far compared to some of them that we've seen so far from him.
And this just comes up on you so quickly, this new chicane right here.
And this is something I'm really curious about, Steve. If you look to the right of the screen, you're going to see the 3 marker right there, and then the 2 marker. That's basically 300, 200, 100 feet. The drivers are going to use that all weekend long for braking. We should have asked Chip Weil while we had him on, are you going to maybe go out there and move those a little bit different distances and play with these guys a little bit? I've been to road courses before where the sign has moved from one day to the next. I've missed my braking zones completely if that happens. Sometimes it's maybe a styrofoam sign that's on the edge of the racetrack or something. I know Mid-Ohio had a lot of that. And now he goes down into the new turns 13 and 14, the turn 4 chicane. I got to tell you, I can't believe that they were able to get that chicane put in and implemented as quick as they have. Just a testament to everybody that's worked hard at this.
All right, there you have it. Oh, man. 149.1. That's a pretty good lap. He's looking for about a 147 flat. So of the 3, William Byron currently, if my math is correct, well, Majeski improved a little bit. Majeski is 2.2 seconds off. William Byron on his first timed lap is 2.3 seconds off. So a tight battle between Majeski and Byron. Chase Briscoe here in the 98 says not so fast. He's going to try to run his speed right here to see if he can figure out where he's losing time.
Is it safe to say for William Byron that any lap at this point is a good lap? He's 20 minutes into this session already. He just completed one finally.
He just completed one, but I'm going to tell you, this is an interesting opportunity. Well, why don't we have a conversation with William Byron? Remember, he has Chad Knaus and Nick Ottinger, his Coke Series driver. Maybe we can jump into their room, listen to them a little bit, see the conversation they're having.
You said left rear?
The right rear, yeah. So put the left back, change the right.
Gotcha.
Hey, Knaus, you got Letarte and Regan Smith, man. We've been watching your man, Willie B. We got a little worried. He didn't have a lap time up. It took 20 minutes, not too far off to finally post a lap. That's pretty good, 1:49.1. What do you think? You look pretty intense. We were kind of making funny. Like, you looked like you were on top of the truck watching practice with that intense kind of stare into the screen.
Yeah, guys, we're actually having a really good time. Nick's helping us out tremendously. Nick's got a very good baseline for us to try to work with here, and we had some really good race laps going on. We actually started, Stevie, with the canned iRacing setup. Made some small tweaks on that, and William was really putting down some good laps. Just tweaking on that just a little bit. But then our boy Nick, he's like, okay, let's get to work on this thing, and we were able to put up there that really fast lap. So we're going to keep working a little bit. One thing we feel like we need to work on is that exit out of turn 6. So we're going to make a small adjustment here, see if that helps that, and we'll see what happens. It's been a lot of fun today. It's been a long time since I've been able to tune on a race car through practice at a racetrack.
I know. I could see your excitement. So listen, I think it's a little bit easier to explain to the fans what a driver's going to learn running on iRacing, kind of learning the track, learning some of the marks. But as a crew chief, maybe set up, maybe not set up, but how about like what corners are important, where time can be gained, time can be lost? Like, what do you absorb from trying to see your driver run here on iRacing?
Well, the first thing I absorb is realizing that I really can't do this. I'm incapable of being able to do this. So that's definitely a driver and a crew chief job. And he signed on the right dotted line, except for he just got penalized again. Oh, he just lost it. Okay, so that's good. But the thing that I think I'm enjoying about this is being able to watch and Steve, you know this, and Regan, you have seen it a little bit, but when you watch from the in-car camera side of things, I can see the steering wheel input, I can see the trajectory of the car, I can understand what's going on with the race car, if it's a little bit tight, if he's got understeer or oversteer. And that's something that's really interesting for me to be able to understand the dynamics of a brand new racetrack before we ever even get there.
So, Nick, you're not off the hook. Nick Ottinger, the Coca-Cola Pro iRacing Series driver, 7th in points, 1 win. I watched you guys run last night, and to Chad's point, y'all made it look easy. I can't even run a lap. How's your driver doing so far? How's it feel tuning on with Chad Knaus and William Byron?
Oh, it's great. I mean, he's doing a great job out here. Chad alluded to it as well. I mean, we had some slow laps out there at first, but I mean, he's getting the hang of it. I think it's going to be some good practice for him and Chad this weekend, and just to have this opportunity to chill with these guys and watch him turn some left-hand turns and right-hand turns. And honestly, I'll put it this way too. It's been a dream just to work with these two, and I'm glad William picked me up.
All right, well, Chad, you were one that thing to
better.
change direction a little bit better out of turn 6.
See there? Did you hear that, Stevie? I made an improvement. Look at that.
I like that. I was watching. That thing turned like right away. Let him get that steering wheel unwound, drive straight up onto the banking.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
I don't get it right all the time, but maybe once in a while we'll get it right, buddy.
Hey, I hear you. All right, well, we'll be watching. We'll see come down here, the bus stop, and then he'll climb the banking again, and that new chicane on the front stretch. That thing is difficult. It comes up on you quick in the laps that I've made. These guys are making it look easy.
Yeah, I was way better there. I like
Was it?
that. Yeah. Just carved right around there.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're going to let these. All right, Knaus, we're going to check back in with you. There you had it, Regan. We checked in with the man doing his work. That was pretty impressive stuff right there. He basically said he wanted to improve it in turn 6, and I thought it looked like it turned way better in turn 6 to climb the high banks and get a better run, and the lap time of greens of 1:48.7.
Yeah, and that's Chad Knaus. There's always something to improve on, always something they can find to get better. And, Chad being an iRacer himself now, I think it definitely helps him to understand the race cars a little better, understand the tracks a little bit better, and be able to communicate with his driver because of that.
And I tell you, I was fascinated listening to him to communicate with Nick Ottinger. So Chad, as a crew chief, obviously knows every knob that's adjusted or adjustable on his Cup car. In iRacing, everything's not adjustable. While the list is way longer than perhaps some of us need to get our cars dialed in, I appreciate it. But you heard him directing Nick. No, I want to do this. I want you to do that. The beauty of this is, in a real happy hour, very well, some of these changes can take a very long time. Nick, though, can just go into the garage, select and change some of the setups, whether it's shock springs, sway bars, camber curves. There's a lot of things that are adjustable. So it just proves that the real world math does compute. As Chackenhouse makes an improvement, William Byron liked it better.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of it, right? We used to go testing all the time, and we'd go testing. We'd spend 12 hours at a racetrack throughout the course of the day. We couldn't get through as much stuff in 12 hours as they can get through right now tonight in literally a 1-hour session. And I think every driver and every crew chief has this available to them. It's a great tool if they choose to use it heading into this weekend. And the guys that can really correlate that stuff, as I mentioned earlier, a guy like William Byron, who's proven how good he is at iRacing and how good he is at taking that from iRacing to the racetrack, and that obviously there's just so many similarities that it's helped him out over the course of time. And Chad's seen the benefits to that as well. And man, it's a great thing when you can make those changes, when you can try significant changes. I feel like it can really help your weekend flow a little bit better.
And I tell you, we watched William Byron do some driving. Well, we get a little sneak peek here of watching Ty Majeski drive this truck right here. Totally different setup. Ty runs a motion-activated simulator with a VR headset. And from a guy that gets motion sickness, that has throw up written all over it if I try to pull it off. But it's amazing what these guys are able to do.
Yeah, and actually, Ty is currently on his desktop setup.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got I'm looking at Briscoe.
I'm getting his
motion was so much it started to get me sick, Regan. I'm looking at the wrong guy. Like Chase Briscoe's setup. See, it's got his face covered. I can't tell who's who. When I look at Chase Briscoe right here, motion activated, a VR headset, it's like I said, I'd throw up. There's no way I could do it.
It looks like something straight out of Star Wars, to be perfectly honest with you. And I saw a tweet actually I think it was last night or 2 nights ago, from Chase's wife, and she was talking about she cooked this great dinner, had this full plate of dinner on the table, and she was sitting there eating by herself. His plate was empty because he was in iRacing. He was in the middle of an iRace. I think he was actually running a dirt track that night and wouldn't leave his simulator. We can see why. I mean, look at this thing. It is an absolutely cool setup that he's got going on there. And I like the concept of the virtual reality, how he can actually get into the game when he turns his head. Maybe he can see out the left side of the car just a little bit better, or the right side of the car. Again, that's stuff to me that's going to help him for the race on Saturday to get his peripheral visions just a little bit better. And to your point, I couldn't believe how much this setup that he's got moves around. When he spins, and he'll spin at some point, we'll be able to see him spin at some point. That thing goes absolutely nuts. I told you earlier, my kids would think it's like a roller coaster. They'd be in there just trying to hop on the edge of it when I'm driving, like it's a fun ride for them.
Yeah, my son loves the VR when he races as well. Chase is having such a great year, so many wins. Won the road course at Indianapolis, a track that we hadn't seen the Xfinity cars on before. Wonder if you could carry that sort of momentum over here. And we talk about a team. We talked about William Byron, Chad Knaus, and Nick Ottinger. With Chase Briscoe has an engineer from Stewart-Haas Racing, DJ Vanderlei, helping him today. And I know I had the wrong guy driving the wrong thing, but I'm not misspeaking when I say he has an employee of Stewart-Haas Racing who is also a Coca-Cola professional driver in iRacing, Justin Bolton. He works at Stewart-Haas and he races professionally in the Coke Series, helping him. So I feel like that's got to be like a little inside info, right? When your iRacing pro is also an employee of the team you drive for.
Well, for sure, if Justin tells him he's doing something wrong and he sees him doing something wrong as he's watching the screen right here, he needs to take that to the bank and he needs to really use that to his advantage. And that is very unique, Steve. I mean, we've got all these iRacing teams, and I think he's one of the very few that actually works on a team and actually drives for the team's iRacing team, basically. That's unique in things right now, and really cool for Justin. Can be a big asset to Chase Briscoe as we see him trying to get his angle into turn 1 correct, and he's going to be done. Just completed a lap and
slower. No
slower,
pickup for Chase Briscoe. I was a little surprised. I thought he was going to run a little bit quicker. It just, I think this just proves how impressive the iRacing community is. Once again, just to remind everybody, as we're about halfway through here, 28 minutes remaining. Not only is this iRacing happy hour from the virtual Daytona International Speedway, the road course, 3.61 miles, 14 corners, but there's also a time attack. The iRacing community was able to practice open setups in both the Cup, Xfinity, and Truck, and throw the gauntlet down. Garrett Lowe, he put the Cup gauntlet down at 1:46 and some change. Matthew Benson, the Xfinity at 1:51.3. Tucker Minter, the Truck, at 1:51.7. I bring that up because these three drivers are trying to match those lap times. The driver who gets the closest will win $3,000 for his favorite charity. Second will win $2,000. Third will win $1,000. And currently we have Byron at 1:48. I think he's looking the best between him and Majeski. It's pretty close at the moment.
Yeah, we saw William Byron actually was getting ready to go on a flyer right there. He was getting ready to go on a hot lap. Completely missed turn one, and that's not the last time we're going to say that this weekend or tonight even. It's just a very difficult corner for these guys to understand. And as we're watching Chase Briscoe on the racetrack right now, I think that Justin Bolton is actually going to join us and maybe tell us a little bit about what he's doing to help Chase Briscoe. Justin, thanks for hopping on here with us for a minute in the middle of what you're doing and watching your driver and focusing on your driver. What are you seeing out of him so far? What does he need to improve on?
Really, we're just trying to get the brakes dialed in here and see what we can do to help his wheel hop getting in. He's kind of locking it up and moving all over the place on entry, and he's just trying to get the most out of it he can. Other than that, you run as much turn as possible and as much drive off as possible. So he wants both, and we're trying to give him a little bit of something. But
So I got to ask, what do you do for the brakes? And I know in the real car, the brakes and the wheel hop is a major concern. Which way are you going with those brakes? And I'm being a little bit nosy because I'm about to go hop on my simulator here in about another 20, 25 minutes, give or take a little bit. I want to know where I have to have my brake setting at. Give me the good details.
yeah, in the real car, you can mess with, brake tape and different pads, different rotors, stuff like that. Obviously, on iRace, you can't do any of that. You just have that brake bias. So you kind of work in other ways to get your brakes to work better in terms of truck arms and track bars and how the car sits getting into the corner, whether you want nose up or down, whether you want the rear squatted or not, and just kind of how the car flexes getting into the corner would help your braking points. Obviously, if you have leaned over real hard on one corner, you're going to have that opposite tire lock up when it comes back down to the ground and lift up, and it's not going to be any good. So you kind of just mess with your chassis adjustments rather than the actual brake itself to help your braking.
Justin, I hope you were going to tell me something new. This is Steve Letarte here. That's basically what I've done for 20 years, and everything you just said you were going to turn on, that's what I've turned on. And people I think at home would be amazed to know when you want to adjust the brakes, it's just not the brakes, right? The truck arms, the rear shocks, rear springs, aerodynamics. There's so many things that can go into improving your brakes and how you can attack the corner. So I was just telling the story. You're a professional iRacer in the Coke Series. You also work at Stewart-Haas Racing. You got to let us know, how cool is it to let those two worlds collide here today?
Yeah, when Stewart-Haas came into this deal at the beginning of this year, it was pretty awesome to have them choose me as their driver. And obviously working there has been a dream so far, being there for 2 years now, last year with Cole, this year with Chase. It's been pretty cool being able to connect the two and, being able to kind of be a driver on this side and, work with one of the best at it on the other side, kind of seeing both worlds and him and I talking about, what both of us can do better and see how we can make each other better in terms of, what he says with the car and kind of what I see the trends of the races on even iRacing with how the cars go and certain aspects of different tracks, like a certain bump here or what you want to do at, let's say, at Kansas with the progressive banking and, just little things like that you can tell from iRacing with how accurate everything is that helps both of us.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot. Your man's running 1:53.7. What's he got in him? 24 minutes left. Can he get down to a flat?
Yeah, if he can put a perfect lap together, I'm thinking we can get into the 52s easily. He says he's got a lot more there, so we're just trying to get him comfortable, trying 2 or 3 different packages here yet, still to go, but I think we're going to have to settle on one here and just have him run laps with only having an hour here. Just the more laps he can get, the better for this deal and in real life as well.
All right, Justin, we appreciate it, man. Good luck. We'll be watching. We're going to be checking out those braking zones. That's always fun to hear. We see right here Ty Majeski in his truck. He's got Phil Gould, his crew chief, helping out. And he also has the points leader in the Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Couple wins, Keegan Leahy. Keegan, man, that's a record. I see you there sitting in your normal spot. I watch your races. I've seen you put together some great runs. There it is, the wheel in hand. No wheel today, though, a keyboard and setups. How's it been working with Ty trying to get his truck dialed in?
Yeah, we made quite a bit of changes here, honestly. I was complaining a lot about some wheel hopping on entry to the corners, and we were having some instability issues until just this last minute. Exit of turn 6, that's the turn coming onto the oval section. It's really bumpy there, and we were losing traction over the bumps. And Phil, Ty's crew chief, suggested we take some rear rebound out of it, let it pop up a little bit over the bumps, right? But it helps with mechanical grip. And Ty's really happy with it now, and I think we're ready to set down a flyer and try to beat this 53-1 we have so far.
So that's really my question. So you're known not only as a fast driver, but as a setup guy in the iRacing world. So now you get to kind of work with someone like Phil, work with someone like Ty. Obviously, you understand iRacing, but a suggestion about the shocks from someone like Phil. Are you taking notes of this ideas that you think you could learn and take back to your virtual racing?
Oh, absolutely. It's a completely different perspective, right? Phil's working with a lot of tools that I've never had access to, and he knows these trucks inside and out. I couldn't resist picking his brain a little bit. I was asking him, hey, what do you guys do in real life for these front springs and stuff? Like, we have coil bind springs. Once the springs compress down, the coils will actually touch and stop traveling completely. And he was saying some guys do that, but they prefer to work with the progressive spring rates, which I don't have access to, unfortunately. But yeah, it's really cool learning about what he has to say, and that was a really good suggestion I wouldn't have thought of, was those the rear shocks.
So an also great thing about a virtual happy hour is that everyone doesn't have to be in Daytona working on this. So tell everyone at home, your hometown is?
I'm in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada.
I think that's the coolest thing. I'm a kid from Maine, so I'm one of the few people I know exactly where Halifax is. I've been there a lot. Keegan, I've seen you put together some amazing drives. It's been fun watching you dialing on Ty. So I just put pressure on Justin helping chase Briscoe. How fast could he go? I'm going to ask you the same question. You're currently on 153.1. What's Ty got in it? Perfect lap. What do you see?
Ty's going to hit a 152.68.
All right, 152.6. There you hear it. Keegan Leahy, the points leader, currently in the Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Couple wins on the season. Drives for Denny Hamlin in the Jumpman car. So having a great year. And Regan, I'm going to tell you, when I watch those Coke Series races, he reminds me of Denny. Keegan not only has a lot of talent, but drives a lot with his brain. And he's very methodical with his blocks, with his approach, with how he manages the race. He truly, it's real life. Like, they're so good, it's real life. They are so talented.
And that's what's amazing to me, Steve. Like, when me and you hop on iRacing, right, and we're still novices at it. We're still learning it. We're still understanding it and figuring different elements of it out. We're not as worried about the blocks and things like that. We're just worried about making sure we don't hit anything. When I watch the races on the Coke Series, those guys are so precise. They make every move just like I would make on the racetrack. And, I think that's what I've been trying to understand and trying to learn as I've gotten further and further into the iRacing stuff, is how to make those little moves and how to make that perfect. I thought it was very interesting to hear that Keegan's in Halifax. I did not know that. I've spent some time racing up in Canada. There's actually a couple racetracks up by Halifax that are two of my favorite racetracks in the world, one of which is Riverside Speedway, a great little facility up there. So looks like we also have William Byron on another flyer right now too.
He does, and not only is this a virtual happy hour, but it's an interactive happy hour. We want to hear from the fans through NASCAR's social media channel, and I'm hearing we have a question that's come in over NASCAR's Twitter. It says, has Regan Smith ever ran the Daytona road course? Regan, any laps at the road course?
No laps. I'm telling you, the first laps I had were literally today, this afternoon, hopping on the iRacing rig in my basement, and this is one of those races, Steve, when it popped up on the schedule, and we talk about how excited we all were with Chip Wild earlier there. When it popped up on the schedule and I saw that, I said to myself, man, if there was one race this year that I absolutely wanted to run, I love road racing. this would have been the race right here. This is gonna, it's gonna be a lot of fun, and it's a fun track. It's a legendary track. We think of all the Rolex 24-hour races that have been had there. To have the NASCAR stars running on it this weekend is going to be very neat.
Or on board right here, I want to say this is Chase Briscoe, but I'll be honest, it's hard for me to tell. Oh, Majeski. See, I knew I was going to get one wrong. If it had a digital dash, I knew it was going to be William Byron. But I can't tell from inside whether it's a truck or an Xfinity car, so we're on board with Ty Majeski and his truck. Maybe what we could do right here, he thinks he's on a flyer. Maybe we could watch the end of his lap, and if he does quit, maybe we can eavesdrop a little bit. We just heard from Keegan Leahy how they've been working on their different setups. So I think Ty will quit right here. Maybe we can eavesdrop in their room and see what they're working on for setup stuff.
2 feet early into turns 3 and turn 5. Those range just brake like a little early, but then brake easier, so you have that little bit of room to brake more if you need to make the apex, right? Because it kind of has an added benefit if you'll have cooler tires for the rest of the corner, so you don't need to lose time when you do that, and it's way more consistent.
I was on your 52.5 or 52.6.
Dude, you'll hit a 51 if you hit those apexes.
Yeah, I know.
That looked good though.
"17 minutes left to practice right here. We have William Byron. See how good my math is, Regan. 1:48.39. So that looks to me like he's about 2.5 seconds. Majeski at 1:53.1 is basically 2 seconds off. Here's another question right here. There's a possibility of rain at DIS all weekend. Welcome to Florida in the summer. We already know that they will use wet tires. So will the racing line be around NASCAR 3 and 4, high line, low line, apron? That's a great question. So, Regan, we watched racing just this weekend from the Xfinity Series in the rain. They put the rain tires on. The drivers did a great job. From everything I understand, not claiming I know or that I've done it, is I've watched enough racing to know when the rain falls, you do not want to run the standard racing line. On the flat section of the road course, you want to run out of the tire rubber, out of where the normal line would be. That's where the most grip is. So the question is, as a driver, you climb out onto the high banks. Where do you think you would run the high banks if it was in the rain? I doubt it'd be the apron. I'm sure they're going to run on the banking.
Yeah, I think you have to be on the banking, Steve. And from my experience, which is very limited in a stock car on the road courses, I almost think, for example, right here where we see Ty Majeski going up onto the banking in turn 1, you're not going to have a choice but other than to run in the rubber right through that part of the track. Then I think you're actually going to be up at least in the middle to the high part of the racetrack. And you mentioned that rubber. What happens when the rubber gets on the racetrack is that gets oily. And it makes it very slippery for those rain tires to adhere to the track. So you got to go find where the track either has, you almost want to call it dirt and debris, and it's got fresh asphalt. It's got asphalt that doesn't have that oily rubber on it, because that stuff, it feels like you're driving on ice is the best comparison I can make. And most everybody, unless you're in Florida, has been on ice at one point or another. So they're going to be up towards the wall, and you're going to be up towards the wall right here in 3 and 4 as well, I would have to imagine, if and when that happens. And I'm pretty excited to find out if we do have to run in the rain, what that oval looks like. And, for years we've said, why can't we run an oval in the rain? We might get the explanation as to why.
We're on board right here with Chase Briscoe. Maybe we can jump into their room a little bit and see what kind of coaching Justin Bolton is giving his driver here.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a wobbly, it's going to be a dolphin again. Should have some turn, but it's going to be a dolphin.
I can drive over stuff?
No. This is slammed. Like, slammed as can get.
I don't know, man. Maybe he's on the splitter.
Just wait till he hits someone. He'll really be on the splitter. If you do feel like you are on the splitter, though, I can shove some back in it real fast. That was really good.
Chase Briscoe on a flyer here. So they do not have to run the whole infield section. When they leave pit road, they're allowed to bypass the infield just to save some time, let them go out there. Regan, you were mentioning they were actually coasting a little bit, like perhaps they had a little tape on and just trying to keep everything cool, tires cool for the qualifying lap.
Yeah, I think that Ty Majeski was the first one I noticed doing that. And much like the real car, the more heat you can keep out of things, whether it's your tires or the engine, the better it's going to be. This is a over 3 mile lap. Everything that you can save getting to the green flag is going to make it that much better when you do make the actual lap. And as we talked a little while ago to Justin Bolton, he seemed very confident there was a lot more time left in that vehicle. Maybe he knew a little something we didn't know right there at that moment as he was saying that, and we saw Ty going out there and starting to mess around with that on the warm-up laps.
I think we've seen a little bit of practice. This is like qualifying practice. They run a few laps, they get everything all right. Now it's ready to put some fresh tires, fresh grilled tape, and go put a flyer down. We're going to see right here. I mean, it's looked relatively smooth. And does that mean he's been under driving it, or does that mean the car's found some more grip? We're coming out of the high banks, turn 4. Got some onlookers there.
I love the line that Chase Briscoe runs right here, all the way to the left. That's going to make the shot onto the straightaway right here a little bit easier for him.
All right, we're going to see what his lap time is. 1:53.7, which is basically exactly what he has run. Very consistent, but no speed to be found for Chase Briscoe in the 98.
Anywhere? Slamming it?
Nah, I didn't think so. I kind of screwed up that one time.
All right, get out.
We only got 10 minutes to burn a 2-second faster lap.
So you'd be fine.
You're just now giving me the heat?
You'll be fine.
We just have to save the best for last, Chase.
Go. I mean, there's really not much more heat I can put into it.
All right, I'll send you my login.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see what happens here.
I
got
want
one more deal
draft
to put in there, see if you can be any better.
So what'd you change here, Justin?
Took the camera back out, try and help him get in. Lowered the rear end a little bit, put sway bar in it, back in it, and took a toe out of it.
Went to the local hardware store, grabbed the kitchen sink.
Yeah. Threw that away because that ain't even going to help Jace, and then we did.
I'll promise you that our actual real life car is going to be a rocket ship. So don't worry about it.
He's driving a rocket ship.
Yes, sir, he is.
Remember, stay to the left.
I hit the grass.
Yeah. Keep on digging. All right, bring her back to us there.
It was gonna be bad anyway. So.
All right.
What you need there, bud?
What? I'll
What do you need
again? Wish I could draft somebody.
All right, I'm back. I won't lie. Regan, I left you. I jumped over into their room and was listening as they were talking, so I needed my buddy Justin Bolton to help me get back because, see, in the real world of broadcasting, I just do a lot of talking and not a lot of behind-the-scenes work, and here I'm doing a little bit of behind-the-scenes work as well, and I had it all messed up. But it was interesting to hear Justin talk to his driver, Chase, and DJ, and, you know, Chase has a lot of confidence that he's going to be good when it comes to this weekend, but he almost seemed a little frustrated, like he can't find any more speed. He's consistent at a 1:53.7.
Well, and consistency is a great thing, as we all know. I think right now you're seeing the driver of him come out. He knows that rabbit's out there in front of him. He wants to catch that lap time for this time challenge that we've got going on right now. And when I think of Chase Briscoe, we got to remember, Steve, he got his first win at the Roval of Charlotte. This is a very, very good road racer. A couple weeks ago, got a win at Indy. You guys were up there calling that race, got to watch that and see what he was able to do there with a very impressive ending to that race. And as I look up at the time board right now with a little over 8 minutes remaining, I just saw Chad Knaus's arms fly up. He was excited. They picked up a little bit more time on that number 24 of William Byron. He's chipping away at it slowly but surely, now down to a 147.98. So about a second and 2/10 roughly, or second 1/10 that he's got to find here in these last 7-8 minutes. And I got to imagine that he's got it in him here if he can just piece it all together.
Well, I mean, he's leading the way right now because Majeski's improved to a 152.6, which is an improvement. That's about 1.5 seconds off. So right now in the time attack challenge, trying to find their bogey time, William Byron is the closest with that sub 148 lap.
And it looks like he is on another flyer right now, Steve, as we talk about that. And he's really, just since we've been watching here tonight in this hour, I feel like he's really smoothing things out just considerably. We see a great line right there, being able to get to the curb on the inside. A lot of guys have been missing that. And then gets the power down as he exits off of that horseshoe. That's what you'd like to see. And man, look at the wheel. Look at how smooth his steering wheel is. And I think that's going to be the key is being smooth with that wheel to maybe get this extra second that he needs.
Listen, virtual happy hour, time attack challenge, racing for a little bit of charity. Look at the eyes from Chad Knaus. Look at the eyes from Nick Ottinger. They're invested. They are invested for what their man William Byron is doing on the racetrack right here as he exits the infield road course, climbs the banking to the NASCAR Oval turn 1. That's turn 7, now turn 8, heading down to the backstretch to the bus stop. Maybe get a little tow right here.
Oh. You see the smirk from Chad right there. I think Chad's liking what he's seeing so far.
All right, we're going to finish watching this lab. We're going to get paid off and see what kind of lab time he would run. And then we're going to invite in the executive vice president, executive producer for iRacing. I picked on him earlier today because he has 2 titles. He deserves 2 titles because he's important, has a lot to do with what we're seeing on here today. He uses the apron, William Byron. Let's see. Oh, big pickup. Big pickup. All right, William, congratulations. You are eliminated from my group of hangout and race on iRacing because I can't keep up. That's too fast. That's too fast. So Steve Myers, did I get all the titles correctly? Welcome to the broadcast.
You did, yes. Thank you. I know it's a ridiculous title.
No. Listen, I pick on you. We've been friends a long time. That's why I joke with you. This is one of the coolest things I've seen. This is kind of joining the real world with the practice and the racetrack coming. But it's been a big year for iRacing. Before we talk about Daytona specifically, just talk about the challenges, the opportunities, what the pandemic, what you've done with Fox, getting races on television. It's been a busy year.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it over and over. You don't ever want a pandemic to be the reason why your company explodes and has a great year. But we worked really hard for 16 years to do this, and we were able to capitalize on the and put on a good show for the country and the NASCAR fans.
So now this other unique opportunity, we're going to see the road course at Daytona. You knew everyone was going to be on your system practicing it, and then NASCAR announces they're going to add a chicane. How in the world do we see a chicane get added in Daytona Beach, Florida, and then just a few short days later, it appears in the iRacing sim?
Well, it's because we have the best art and production team that makes racing games in the world. I mean, Greg Hill and Kevin Anarelli and production and art staff, when they see a change happen in the real world, they're doing everything.
Well, I picked on his title. We didn't have to hang up on us. Steve Myers, I think we lost connection. And I have to agree, he was bragging on the team over there at iRacing. And I have to agree. I mean, Regan, the artwork, there's everything that goes into these laps. You've done it. You've made laps at Daytona, maybe not the road course, but help us understand how accurate is it that these fans are seeing?
Well, it's extremely accurate, and take the artwork out of the whole entire picture. I think from a driver perspective, the first thing I look for is what the actual racetrack feels like, Steve. And the racetrack itself, the curves, the bumps, the bump that's in the middle of 1 and 2 that maybe nobody knows about, that you only hit at a certain time on your lap, it's right there. Like, it is absolutely precise, and it's one of the best tools that you could ask for. I used it when I was younger. I used it when I was in the middle stages of my career. I wish that I would have used it more in the late stages of my career. Unfortunately, kids and time didn't allow that to happen quite as much. And I do think, though, it would have made me a better race car driver had I have done that. And then you talk about the artwork. You talk about the fact that there's a billboard on the side of the racetrack that you can use as your marker to get into the corner and to do what you need to do. And it's just been very impressive what these guys have been capable of putting together.
It's funny, it doesn't matter if it's a virtual happy hour, the real thing. Regan, time's winding down. William Byron finds more speed. Chase Briscoe picks up some lap time. It's pretty consistent, right? When the pressure's on, everybody seems to find a little bit more.
That's the name of the game, right? Racing. That we're all racers. We want that extra little bit. You maybe just wind the gear up just a little bit further, take it a little further into the chip, use a little bit more brakes, get just a little more aggressive. And all these guys they're pushing for this, man. This is the bragging rights are on the line right now. And Chase Briscoe, as we see, he's getting set to make a flying lap. I believe he's just kind of easing into the lap there, though.
We're on board right now. I believe this is Ty Majeski.
Sounds really good off of the horseshoe there, as he gets ready to enter back on the NASCAR turn number 1. Again, much like we saw with William Byron a little while ago, smooth with that wheel. Got to be careful though. That's a corner is so sneaky how the right rear of the vehicle wants to step out, how it wants to get loose, and you're trying to get all the power down you can, because let's face it, a half a mile an hour when you get onto the bankings, we're worth about 4 miles an hour by the time you get down to the bus stop chicane, and that could be the difference for him in a perfect lap or a lap that's maybe a tenth or two off.
Closing in on 1 minute to go. We'll see if Majeski, looks like he's quit. Didn't like his lap. CK, man, a 147.5 or 147.6. That's a pretty big improvement from the last time we talked.
William did a really good job. William and Nick, and we've had some good conversations. We used some of our experience that we've used at some of the other road courses and applied it, and I think we did okay, man. Not too bad. I don't know if that's track record material, but I think we could go out there and qualify in the top 5.
I think you're going to take the money tonight on the time attack of the Bowie. The best lap we've seen is a 146.9 from Garrett Lowe, a professional iRacer. So for William to get even close to that in a couple hours of practice is pretty impressive. To talk to the fans at home, right? Tell us behind the curtain a little bit. What do you expect this weekend? I know this was fun, a virtual happy hour, a track we've never seen. Now you're going to head down to Florida, drop the green. First lap you're going to see is under race conditions.
It's definitely frightening, Steve. And as we go through this, as not many people have lived through some of these experiences, Stevie, and I really wish you could, because when you're building your race car and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to go to the racetrack and we're going to cut a lap and go race for the entirety of the race without any practice, it's a very difficult challenge. There's so many things that you've got to work on. You got to make sure your splitter is off the ground, but you don't want too high off the ground. You got to make sure your rear travels are right. There's so much vertical loading at Daytona, obviously rolling through turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 NASCAR style, and versus what you're going to have on the infield. So it's a real challenge. the thing that's probably the biggest challenge is we've never turned a lap on the interior of this racetrack. So we've queried a lot of the people that we know from different racing series, Max Pappas, Jordan Taylor, a lot of different guys about what's going to happen when we get into the inside road course. And they're saying that this track is likened to Sonoma, which, as you know, Steve, there's not a lot of traction on the inside of the racetrack in Sonoma. So we're pretty nervous about it, but we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then just on top of all of that, it might rain. So hey, let's just go have some fun, right?
Never rains. Florida in the afternoon in the summer. I'm sure it'll be fine. Chad, man, we couldn't thank you enough for taking part in this. So I think it's great. Congratulations. That last lap that William ran was definitely the closest to the target times. You guys win this event. I haven't seen you in person since, so I also want to take this moment to congratulate you on a second child. I couldn't be happier for you, buddy. And listen, you got the road course. You got a doubleheader at Dover and the High Banks for a restricted plate to make the playoffs. Seems pretty low stress. What could go wrong, man?
Well, the good news is they are some of my favorite racetracks. Dover is a track that I hold near and dear. Restrictor plates, I love those racetracks as well. So I think we got a good shot. And if you hadn't noticed, my boy Willie B, he can get around a road course pretty well. So I think we're going to be in pretty good shape.
I think you're absolutely right, man. Congratulations on tonight. Congratulations on the baby. You're having a great year, and good luck this weekend down in Daytona.
All right, my man. See you.
Regan, pretty cool when the crew chief and William Byron will join us in the middle of this virtual happy hour. He was, had a lot going on, but they've improved their race car, right? I mean, they started up in the 149s and they got all the way down into a mid 147. I was impressed.
Well, and I think you could hear it in Chad's voice right there, Steve. He learned some stuff tonight. He's figuring stuff out. Everything that they're doing, whether it's talking to other drivers or iRacing, and everything they're doing to prepare for this weekend is a buildup for this. So because of all the unknowns that are going into it, they're trying to stack the pennies and figure everything out as they go down there for this weekend. And Chad, that was a happy Chad, I think. He seemed like he was pretty pleased with everything.
Well, I mentioned this was not just a virtual happy hour, but there was a little bit of incentive on the line. This time attack, the times were set by the iRacing community, fastest laps that could run. Garrett Lowe was the fastest in a cup car at a minute 46.889. Well, William Byron was the closest to his target time tonight, so William Byron is successful. Willie B, Mr. Byron, you are an iRacing machine, although I might have to give a little credit to Chad and Nick Ottinger. They got you tiled in pretty good. That last lap was impressive.
Dude, it was awesome. I'm literally sweating so bad. It's probably, gross looking, but it's, that was a lot of fun, and we hustled at it. We did a lot of different laps. Didn't really know what to expect out of this, but I really feel like we got some pretty cool information for Sunday. So thanks to iRacing and, Chad, having Chad on the virtual box was really cool because he was, he did some really good adjustments there, and it really helped the car, so that was neat.
Well, William, we appreciate Regan and I. We've been watching along, doing this for the fans, but talk about you and what this does. We realize this is iRacing. It's not a car on the real racetrack, but it's so close in some ways. As a driver, what do all these laps on the virtual road course, what's that going to help you with when you enter this weekend?
Yeah, honestly, for me, it's just a baseline. You're going to be able to take away little tidbits of information. We've never been to this racetrack before, so there's literally no notebook. So the little things that I take away is just the curbing, the details on the track, what makes speed in terms of what corners are the most important on a road course is critical. So got kind of a better idea of that tonight, and I've been in the GM sim as well, so thanks to Chevrolet for that tool, and I feel like those are the only two tools we have is iRacing, obviously, and Chevy. So try to utilize those as much as we can and feel like we're in a good spot going into the weekend.
Well, William, man, first I want to say congratulations. It was a time attack. Everybody had their bogey. You were the closest. Last lap time only brought you down to about 7/10 off the fastest lap run in iRacing in a cup car at that racetrack at all. So congratulations, man. You've won $3,000 for your charity of your choice. And more than anything, we appreciate you taking an hour out of your day, doing a little practice, but showing the fans how you prepare, use iRacing, have Chad. I think it's just been great to watch, and we appreciate your time, bud.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it, Steve. And Regan, hopefully we put on a good show. I think this race this weekend is going to be an exciting one, so looking forward to it.
Oh, I think that's an understatement. Exciting for sure. It is going to be a blast. All right. Mr. VR himself, Chase Briscoe, you were starting to make me nauseous. You watch driving your simulator left, right, up, down. That thing moves a lot. We snuck a listen. It seemed like you had a lot of confidence heading into the weekend, the road course. Talk about your experience here on iRacing.
Yeah, it was good. Definitely a learning curve to be made. I think this track, I've got laps in the IMSA stuff, but it's just so different from the stock car stuff, obviously. So it took me really till the last 10 minutes to get my braking marks down, and it's just way different than the IMSA stuff that I've ran here. So I probably should have turned a couple more laps than what we did just now, but I'll certainly be using a lot more, throughout the week, and even on our Ford simulator as well before we get there on Saturday.
Well, Chase, we had an opportunity to talk to one of your teammates at Stewart-Haas Racing, Justin Bolton, as you were out there making laps. He described to us the changes you were making with the brakes of your race car and what you guys were doing to try and help you out in the braking zones. How much of that do you think is going to matter for you, and that you can carry over when you get there for the race on Saturday to try and figure out those braking zones? Because to me, the key to this race and where this race is going to be won is who can figure those areas out the fastest during the first two stages.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, kind of what I was struggling with, like you said, is just I kept wheel hopping really bad getting into the corners. And if I wasn't wheel hopping, I was locking the fronts up. And, at least in the IMSA car, we have ABS, so that's never an issue. But the track is really, really rough into the braking zones. And, the stock car, that's going to be a serious problem this coming weekend. And you add on top of that how fast we're going to be going and trying to slow down to as slow as we have to go. Wheel hop's going to be huge. So, I don't know if what we found today will help, but it's certainly something to keep in mind. And without practice, you never really know what you're going to have when you get there. So, you're kind of limited on what you can do in the race. But yeah, I felt like, wheel hop's going to be something you're going to see a lot of this weekend. And, anytime there's wheel hop, there's excitement and crashes typically. So it should be an awesome race to watch this weekend.
Your track record on these road courses has been phenomenal. You got your first win at the Roval a couple weeks ago, getting a win at the Indianapolis road course. I know we'd never been there before, and we did have practice, but is there a lot of comparisons to maybe that first practice at Indy that you can draw on when you line up and start the race?
I think a little bit. I think the biggest thing for me is just trying to acclimate myself to Daytona, visually when I get there in real life, to how much different it's going to be than the IMSA car. We always talk about brake markers, and, those brake markers are going to be so much different. And, running the sim and running more and more laps and trying to get used to it and kind of, reteaching your brain what to get used to is certainly going to help, I think. But truthfully, last weekend running Road America, the week before I went and ran the IMSA car, and I think that experience of seeing how different those brake markers were will hopefully help at Daytona this weekend as well.
Before we let you go, we really appreciate you joining us tonight to do this. It's been a lot of fun to see you guys out there trying to get these lap times down, see who could get the closest to the lap time they had to get to. I got to ask you, I saw something on, I believe it was Instagram or one of those social media sites the other night. Your poor wife was sitting there. She had cooked what looked to be a wonderful dinner, and she was all by herself. Your plate was empty. You were too busy iRacing. Did you at least eat dinner tonight with your wife before you climbed into your simulator?
No, I didn't actually. I don't even know. She didn't make dinner tonight. She said she's going to wait till after this. So I got to get down there. But yeah, I was busy racing the other night on here. I don't get on here as much as I would like, truthfully. And she'd made dinner, and I thought I had enough time. And apparently she got done quicker than I was able to get the race over. So iRacing's been getting me in trouble here lately. So hopefully I'll be off the hook for tonight.
Well, I'm going to tell you something as a married man. You don't want to miss too many of those dinners, because if you do it enough, she'll just stop cooking, and then you'll really wonder what you're going to do after that. So good luck this weekend, man. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch you guys. And secretively, I'm sitting here doing a little bit of a rain dance. I know you probably might not want that, but I'm rain dancing, right? TV Regan wants to see that happen.
I hope it rains. Last week at Road America was my first experience in the rain, and I had an absolute blast. I felt like I was more competitive in the rain than I was in the dry, so I would love to run in the rain. It takes me to dirt racing, really. I think there's a lot of similarities. So as weird as that sounds, I feel like my dirt experience really helps in the rain and just trying to find the lines. It's kind of the opposite of dirt racing, where in dirt you're looking for the moisture, and in the rain you're almost looking for the dry spots. But I had a blast in the rain. I don't know what Daytona would necessarily be like in the rain up on the bank and whatnot, but I'm with you. I think it puts on awesome racing for TV, and for me inside the race car, I think it's a blast.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear you want that. Best of luck this weekend. We're all pulling for it as well. We'll be pulling for you. Have a good run down there, and we'll be watching for sure.
Yeah, thanks guys. I appreciate it.
All right, that was Chase Briscoe and his simulator. From the man with the VR and the really nice simulator to the man on the laptop and the steering wheel clamped to the desk, Ty Majeski. Ty, man, first of all, how much fun was it trying to figure out this Daytona road course?
Oh, it's a lot of fun. I actually got a chance to run the GT4 Mustang when I was with the Ford program the last couple of years. So I'll be one of the only drivers that actually has real life laps around this place, minus the front stretch chicane. So I feel like for once I have a little bit of an advantage going into this weekend. But man, this track's a lot of fun. There's a lot of great passing zones, and obviously the road course itself is a challenge. So man, it's going to be a must watch this weekend. So you all tune in and watch these NASCAR races. It's going to be a show.
So handicap it for us. Regan and I were here taking our notes. Both of us had to get to see the races this weekend. So where's the action spot going to be, right? If you're a fan, where is the spot on this road course that you just know is going to be the action spot?
I would say the chicanes, especially the front stretch chicane. It's going to be tough to go there side by side, and obviously guys are going to get runs coming out of the bus stop into that chicane. So you're going to be side by side, and there really isn't room to go side by side through there. So you might be seeing some games of chicken because somebody's going to have to lift because it might get ugly if you go in there side by side.
So we talked tonight to Keegan Leahy. He was talking about how much fun it was. He was enjoying working with you in this program. But then Phil, your crew chief, suggested some shock adjustments, and Keegan said it was just great to see have a different perspective of these setups that he's been working on so much. So was it cool to you to have not just your crew chief, but have someone like Keegan who has so much experience in the iRacing world?
Definitely. Keegan was a big help to us, not only from the setup side, but from a driver standpoint as well. He obviously ran a pro race last night. He's one of the best on the sim right now. So he taught me some tricks, and I definitely gained some time just from a driver standpoint from his pointers. So it's kind of cool to cross-reference what Phil would do and what works in real life and what works in the sim as well. It's cool to see the similarities and sometimes the differences. So it was cool to work with both of those guys, and gets Phil and I on the right track for this weekend for sure.
Well, Ty, I want to say thank you. Regan and I had a blast watching. I filled out my notebook, actually 2 notebooks of notes for what I'm going to see this weekend. So I know it helped you behind the wheel, but it's definitely going to help me from the broadcast booth to see the laps. I know the fans appreciate your time tonight.
Appreciate you guys having me. It was a lot of fun.
Regan, I'm going to tell you, these guys, they make it look way easier than it really is. You and I have been on this track. We know the challenges that this track presents, but it's going to be fun. And we've heard all these drivers say this must watch. It's a must watch weekend. There's races all weekend long. We have ARCA on track, trucks, then Xfinity on Saturday, Cup on Sunday, NBC at 3 o'clock. It's going to be an absolute blast, a full weekend of racing. And I can tell you, other than I guarantee action, I have no idea what else I'm going to see.
Well, and I think that's the best part, Steve. And I'm sitting here getting goosebumps thinking about it, right? These guys are going to do something that's very unique. They're going to go to a racetrack that they don't know anything about. They're going to sail it into turn 1. What they do know about it came from iRacing. It came from what they've learned tonight. Maybe their manufacturer simulators. I am jealous right now sitting here that you get to call these races this weekend. It's, there's a lot of times that you're like, oh, that race, that might be, that's okay. We can sit at home and watch that one. But this weekend is the one that everybody wants to be part of. Everybody wants to call it. Going to be very exciting. And I think, the fact that there's going to be some fans in the stands when you get down there, that's going to help out even more just to see those smiling faces watching these guys.
It's going to be an absolute blast. We talked to the president of Daytona International Speedway, Chip Weil. He mentioned the work that went into being in a road course race. In a few weeks, we'll see the Coke 0400, the end of the regular season. But don't forget, it's the marquee track that holds the marquee event. Tickets for the Daytona 500 are on sale now for next year's Daytona 500. This flag behind me, I hang there because there's nothing like the Daytona 500. It's magical. If you have a chance, you need to go. Get your tickets. Head down to Daytona. You see right there, log on to DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com and get your Daytona 500 tickets. Regan, I'm jealous of the Fox side. I really wish I got the call of Daytona 500, but I'm excited to see a road course race this week. I appreciate your help today, man. It's been a lot of fun.
Hey, a lot of fun. Good luck this weekend, Steve, with everything. And yes, Daytona, it's around the corner, right? We're going to be down there for the 500. It seems like in only a couple more weeks, so I'm looking forward to that, much like you are. And that flag that you've got in the background, I know I won that same year that you guys won the 500. The parties that came after that, I'm glad we don't do that too often because it was a heck of a week after that.
It was. It is a rough week. Well, from Regan Smith and Fox Sports, Steve Letarte here from NBC Sports. Thanks to iRacing. Thanks to NASCAR for putting this on. A big thanks to William Byron, Chad Knauss, Chase Briscoe and DJ Vanderlag, Ty Majeski, and Phil Gould. A virtual happy hour from the virtual Daytona road course, just a sneak peek to the racing action we're going to see all weekend long from the World Center of Racing.
I am history, home to legends and greats. I am a super speedway. I am a road course. I am both. I am not one for second guessing, twisting this season's fate into all 14 of my turns. I am hallowed ground, from the braking to the high banks. And I am one of the last chances to make it to the playoffs. I am the Daytona road course. I am NASCAR.